How does the film balance these two arguments of the environmental catastrophe and the health crisis as well on the other side?
It's interested in both very much. I mean, we hear on one side that First Nation peoples in one area, their entire way of life is being threatened by environmental change, for example. Their way of hunting, for example, is being threatened. Where we also hear in another community in the area there's a possible increase in cancer rates because of pollution in the water supply there. So we certainly hear of both environmental and health problems. And where the film maybe isn't so successful is it struggles to balance the local effects of these problems with the more general and the more global effects. So maybe at one moment it's telling us, I'm sure quite correctly, that the tar sands extraction process is contributing to global warming. But then on the other hand, it's looking very locally at water pollution. I think it struggles to move from the local picture to the big picture and back again.
So you've got two stories going on at once. Now, James, to bring you in here, the film is trying to persuade us that Alberta, the state of Alberta, is kind of an environmental sacrifice to produce oil for American cars. Is it on the money? Is it accurate there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the talking head who makes that point, the journalist at the start of the film. He sort of talks a lot of sense throughout the entire film about the way it links back to the broader demand for oil in the global economy and in the US economy in particular, because this oil's only been produced because there's a market there. These companies are only investing billions and billions of dollars because they believe the oil price will remain at a high enough level to justify that investment. And of course that's all due to the demand that comes from everybody in the global economy, and in particular sort of US car drivers. Now
the film begins by asking Americans, do you know where your oil comes from? And then it wants to persuade them that it's from this bad environmental source. Do you think Americans really care that much where the oil comes from as an originating source, or as long as they get it?
That's one of the maybe slight fall downs in the argument, is that if you're looking to reach the American public as the audience, and you're actually saying it's from Canada, a lot of people would say that's a good thing. That gives us more security. It means we're not reliant on Middle Eastern states where there's less secure supply and where there's geopolitical issues as well. So in some cases you're making sort of the neocon argument for them, that it's better to have this on our doorstep. At the same time, the environmental impact, the broader climate change impact, maybe isn't pushed as hard as it could be. There's a lot of focus on the domestic environmental impact in the First People Nations, but not quite as much on the broader climate change dialogue.
Right. Dave, the film has characters in it. There's some documentaries that do sit-down interviews, and this seems to be one of them, and others that follow people. How are they using the characters to persuade us this is a truly important global issue?
Yeah, it's very heavy on the talking heads, this film. Many of them are very lucid, very rational contributions to the film. I think where those talking heads might obscure the bigger picture for us is when we're actually trying to get to the real nitty-gritty of lives in the locality there. I mean, for example, I mentioned before that one of the arguments is that the hunting methods of First Nation peoples are being affected by an encroachment on their land because of the tar sands extraction process. But we learn little of what their way of life actually is. We just rely on them saying that it's being affected, and then then I think in the same passage we're told that the animal health is being threatened. I think we just see a shot of a bear running along the road. No, we don't really get to know exactly how their lives are being affected. We just have to take their word for granted.
Briefly, James, do you think films like this can actually make a change with companies that they're trying to change, like BP, or is it really market forces only that's going to make those companies sit up and take notice?
A little bit of both. Ultimately, they're only going to change because they see their investment being damaged, and it's the market forces. At the same time, if the reputation is damaged enough, they see that as an impact on the market, and they will change. In many ways, a lot of these films are preaching to the choir, and that they're addressing an audience that already cares about these issues and is willing to change and engage with it. But at the same time, there's no harm in that on certain occasions.